Hello. Okay, we got it. Denise, it's a pleasure.
David, sir, you are host of your meeting and your meeting is being recorded.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
You.
Bernice, welcome.
Why, thank you, David. It's nice to be here.
Great.
Hello.
We're gonna hold off. Well, I'm gonna assume, Bernice, you're here about the development at the NIP?
Good guess.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Very concerned about the structure that's there and I don't know how familiar, like the research that's been done on that structure in the past. There are other things in this neighborhood that people might not be aware of. One of them is like a granite bowl that's for grinding corn. It's on the front property of the house across the street from me. And so I just wanted to make people aware. And I don't know if this group has anything or any comments that or any information they could share with me about where I might go to help see that structure that is on phase 4 from getting plowed under. Because I think what I'm saying is there are other things in this neighborhood that indicate there's a lot more activity here from hundreds of years ago.
Overall today?
That might be relevant. So
All right. Where do you live up there?
I live on 150 right on the lake, but I'm across from the old Leonard property that the Bowlby's owned, and it was just recently sold.
Uh-huh.
And that was built in 1798, I believe.
Now, you said 150 Lakeside Drive?
150 Lakeside Drive, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not aware of that bowl like rock.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, I'm looking at that for as far as the development and the DEIR that's presently out there. And one of the comments came from one of the archaeological societies saying, well, there's not that much interest in it. And I was kind of alarmed because I think if people knew about what all else is in here, as well as that particular structure, there would be concern for it.
Yeah.
Now, I have a collection of files. I just can't find one where I know there was an article published in the Enterprise maybe 35 years ago or so about the particular structure that they're talking about maybe taking down. So I'm sorry, I wasn't really ready to jump into this meeting, but I just kind of got excited that maybe there's an opportunity to draw some interest to the structure in context of having other things in this neighborhood, which I have pictures of.
Yeah. Now, I had the last conversation I had with Larry Silva concerning this project. He was doing the preliminary site work.
Yes.
He's still involved with that?
Well, the only information I have is there's the 600 page plus thing that was submitted to MIPA, the proposal is what it is. And it covers every aspect. And then of course, it also has the comments now published from different agencies like Mass DOT about traffic. And there is a letter from one of the archaeological societies saying that as far as they knew, didn't seem to be much interest in it, which I think they would be interested in it in this particular structure that is really cool. I've been to it many times in hiking, and I just would hate to see it plowed under. I mean, wouldn't it be a great thing for them to be able to incorporate into the property as far as open space goes?
I agree with you. I'm very familiar with the structure. The structure she's talking about is some people refer to it as the tomb or the cave.
Mhm.
And that's on Tomb Road. It's right, if you go up Pleasant Street, you go in the far end of the park and ride facility, take a left, You go in the park and ride facility, probably about 3 spaces, park your car, and then turn around and look towards the woods, and you'll see the remains of the road. There's a pile of dirt in front of it now. The last time I was out there, there was a tent set up inside of it. I don't know if that's still inside.
There is something still in there. I was out there the other day. And now Claremont has obviously plowed a road in, so it's very easy to access at this point. I mean, it's just they just use some earth moving equipment, and it's only like 8-foot wide road, but you can just park and walk directly in. It's easy to find.
Now, I believe at the end of that road, there's a site, an Indian site that's been identified by Mass Historical.
Oh,
For years, it was the only historical site in Bridgewater.
really?
And trying to remember the name of the Curtis Hoffman, Dr. Hoffman, who's a longtime professor at the college, and he was like the expert on native settlements in the area.
Oh, okay.
He spoke at the Old Bridgewater Historical Society, probably a year or so ago, maybe even longer than that.
Okay.
And, he said that he doubts as to whether that's has an Indian connection.
All right.
And he says that Mass Historical has no great interest in Indians in this area.
Really?
So, that's the only thing I know of it, other than in talking with Larry Silver about it, I said, Larry, if there's any possible way that you could convince them to work their design around that.
Sure.
And the last drawing I saw of the site, that was going to be, because it's right next to the swamp,
Hmm.
you'll have another shot at this when it goes before conservation,
Okay.
because there is wetlands right across the dirt road from
Mhm.
from that structure.
Right, a
And-
lot of wetlands.
He said that his design had that as a centerpiece in a drainage area, so it would be left, the structure itself would be left alone, and it would be excavated around it. At the very least, I was hoping that the college or Mass Historical could get involved and just to document what they may dig up in that area.
Okay. Yeah,
I-
and like I said, I don't think people are aware of, like, both of the original farms of that encompass this whole property have been here. I think the Keith property was in like late 1600s, early 1700s. And then the Leonard House, or was the Packet House originally, was built in 1798. But the Packet Farm was here prior to that. And
Yeah.
the Packet House does have, which was the Bouldries who just moved, it has hideouts inside that house to protect them from Native Americans, from attacks
Yeah,
behind the fireplace. So that property, even though it's privately owned, it has some really cool attributes that might indicate that there was a presence here of Native Americans. If
Yeah.
nothing else, the structure, my husband thinks it could have even been an ice house. But it still is quite old. Was built in a crude way. I did notice the other day, which I was surprised, that I thought it was rock on rock, like all granite, but there is some mud in it. So that might indicate too. But I do where would I share some of the pictures that I've documented pictures over the years of these things that are on our property, on the property across the street, that might be of interest to the Historical Society and may or may not be relevant, but I don't know if anyone has any interest in them. I'm gathering my files now.
well, social media is a very powerful tool.
Okay.
And I think if you could send them to me, and I'll get them to whoever is going to take over our website. We had Jeff, here he is, right? Yeah, he's right here. Jeff, Can you come online with us? He's got his mic muted. Okay, there he is.
Here.
Where do we stand with the historical commission webpage? I know I had sent, Mr. Walsh, Jim, is it Jim Walsh? I had shipped them over to you to see if, between the two of you, we could get it up, get our connection up and running. Where do you stand with that?
I have received admin privileges
Great.
for it, so I can post stuff. I don't come across any historical things to post, so I'm not
Hmm.
really sure what to do with it.
Well, do you want your first project? I can help.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. Would I just visit and take pictures or something?
Oh, I have lots of pictures and I'm a photographer myself, so I'm more than willing to send images that I have or files, or if you'd like to meet, I'll meet in person so we can kind of see what's of interest to the society and what should be posted. But it would be great to have some attention down here because the NIP is so significant, and let's face it, it evolved or was created by glacial depressions. But I'm also finding information because what I'm researching is when they extended Route 495 southward, I've been finding information online about how they were being environmentally sensitive because they had to go through the Hockomock Swamp. Oh, and speaking of the Hockomock Swamp, my God, I have information about how the state was buying up the land for conservation and preservation of the swamp back in the 60s, how the boat ramp came to be. As I've been here 30-something years, and as people move on, they leave me their materials because they know this is something I've always been interested in. So I'll gladly share, and it should be made public.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh, good, good. Okay, well, I'm glad
We can either connect on Facebook. You can find my page, Jeff Merriman.
all right. I'll friend
You can share on the direct message with me, or we can get together.
I like that idea because there's a lot of history out here.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think visually, it would be interesting on a social media point of view. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to share that.
Back in your
Um,
place. You don't like it, just leave it.
Other than, I know the place, the area has a lot of history with farming and
Mhm.
along the shores of the Nip and the edge of the Hockomock Swamp and everything. But other than the stone structure there, I've never been aware of anything that I know it's significant to a lot of people,
Mhm.
but I've never been able to get my hands on anything that was really, really
All done?
important.
Here.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, they're meeting the other room. I wish there was something really significant up there that we could really grab onto. But,
Mhm.
you know, I've been beating the bushes, about the stone structure my dad and I met with a bunch of people 30 years ago. And
Okay.
they were convinced that it was part of, a Phoenician trading route. They came down from Casco Bay, Maine, down to, Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
But
So what would be significant? Like an artifact found or something?
Shelby,
this stone bowl that you have sounds interesting.
Yeah, I would say it's about 2 feet across, even the circumference, maybe 3 feet. And it has a handle embedded in the stone, in the granite stone. And of course, there's the bowl area for grinding corn. And so I'm thinking, I mean, a wild guess would be it's 150 years old. I'll have
Could we organize like a little adventure for it with some metal detectors or something?
it's actually the property just changed hands, so I don't know the new people well enough, but I certainly will ask them if they mind because it's on private property.
Okay,
Uh, So we'll talk, Jeff, and see what we can come up with and, maybe to share with, put all the minds, the experts in the rooms head together to see if it's something worth pursuing.
Sure, love to
sounds
see
good.
it.
Okay, terrific.
Thank you.
So will this be business as usual going forward, or like I'm thinking I'll sign off now? If that's okay?
Oh, you can hang around if you want, but we're just gonna be talking about other things with the commission. The people who moved into the Bouldridge house, I've had some contact with them.
Okay,
Because we have the postcard, I think it's Island Farm. There's a postcard that shows both the house and there was a little gazebo out on the water, similar to the one that was down the Sturtevant's Pond.
okay.
And I got her copies of that. And
Oh,
I had to convince her that it was that particular house, and she thought it might have been the one down the street that the town had picked up years ago.
hmm. Well, there was Pilgrim Park and I have postcards about that.
Yeah,
I'd love to
yeah.
know more about that.
We've got those, and we've got one photograph from inside the dance hall. It's in pretty
Oh.
tough shape, but
Yeah.
I've got that in my collection. I think it's upstairs in the historical room. So,
Oh, I'd love to see those
sure.
and,
Well,
and-
if you send me your email address, I will send you the that picture inside the dance hall, because it's not a postcard.
Okay.
It's it's an old photograph, and it's in pretty tough shape around the edges, but the images are very clear.
very good.
So
Oh.
do you have my email address?
I probably do somewhere, but do you mind giving it to
Okay,
me?
sure. It's D Moore, DMOORE
Mm-hmm,
1949 @gmail.com.
@gmail.com. Beautiful. Okay. And I have a lot of digitized information, so if I push some stuff your way, you can either just delete it or add it to the collection. How's that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this stone bowl, because there was one on the front steps of the memorial building. And that,
Oh,
I can remember that thing being there when I was a little kid, because I used to sit in it.
It looks like-
When my
Yeah.
dad was inside getting books, after I went down to the children's room and got my stuff, I'd go up
Okay.
and sit on the front steps of the memorial building. And when they got started, I told the town manager, I told the assistant town manager to be careful, do not lose that bowl, do not lose the rock. I talked to the site contractor. I
yeah.
talked to the primary contractor. But the last time I looked over there, I didn't see it. So I
Mm,
don't know what might have come of it.
right.
I would love to see it. So,
Well, I'll try to find out from the Bouldries.
Happy meeting, buddy. You
They-
go ahead.
I never asked about them. I photographed it when they, were standing there,
yeah,
but I never actually inquired about it. So I'll see if they know anything about it. Because now that they've moved out, but I have things over the years that Edna Bouldry shared with me from the Keith property, and
yeah,
just different people who have lived here over the years, their perspective. So it wouldn't be on a historical record, but it should be carried forward because it's like from the 30s and the 40s and the
Yeah.
50s. So that's interesting. And before I leave you, I'll tell you one quick thing if you have a second.
Yeah.
Edna shared with me, there was a woman who was published in that house, in the Leonard House, by the name of, forget her first name, but Carolyn Leonard Goodenough. And so she was published. Well, when FEMA came after me for being in a flood zone, which I'm in a flood zone, but I'm elevated, so I didn't have to pay the flood insurance. And I got out of it by producing the poem that girl wrote in 1900 that said, I walked across the dirt road and descended the granite stairs to the lake. Well, those granite stairs are in my backyard, so my husband and I got out there and shoveled, and sure enough, we unearthed the granite stairs,
Oh,
took a picture and sent it to FEMA, a lot of other documentation just to say, so it wasn't backfilled, see? So all from a poem that came from a woman who lived there 100+ years ago. So I just
Yeah.
share that in fun because being your interest in the history of the town.
okay.
So
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Pass it on to the commission. I will check with Larry Silva
sounds great.
in the next couple of days to see what the current status of the island and the detention area is that he had designed. Because he knew that we wanted to try to save it, and it didn't appear to be a big problem. What he had shown me was it looked feasible. I mean, it didn't look like it was going to cost the applicant a ton of money by eliminating part of his property.
Yeah, and it certainly doesn't look like it would be an attractive nuisance or anything because the structure is just in the mound of the earth.
Right.
So, I mean, people can't get hurt on it or anything, but anyways,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate the time that you've given me, and I think I'm gonna sign off now, but I'll email you, David, and friend Jeff. I got my
Okay.
assignments. All right, thanks very much.
Right.
Bye now.
Coming.
Thanks again.
Yep. Along with that stone structure, I've always been amazed at the construction of it, because if you haven't seen it, the roof on this thing is 2 or 3 big flat rocks. And I mean, big, they're probably 8 feet across and maybe 5 feet in depth and probably about 1 foot tall. So they weigh a couple tons. And I've always been amazed at ancient civilizations building stuff with big rocks, and how did they do it? Well, this is a good example of how did they build this, but the OBHS is having a talk next month. I believe it's in February. See if I can pick it up on my calendar real fast. It's 22, 23. Well, I gotta look it up and see what the date is, but anyways, somebody's gonna do a presentation on a Sunday afternoon concerning the Skim Milk Bridge. Now, if you haven't seen that, you go up Elm Street, you go over the river, which is a West Bridgewater line, and just after you go over the river, there's a dirt road on the right-hand side. And it's marked off as a conservation area. But if you go down, walk in probably a distance in, probably 75 or 100 yards, there is the remains of the old bridge that crossed the river. If you look on a map, Elm Street it's pretty straight, and then Elm Street makes a slight turn to the left. The old road used to go straight. And the dirt road was there up until Cumberland Farms cleared all that land for planting and so forth years ago. Probably 30 years ago. But anyways, that Skim Milk Bridge is built of big rocks, just as that stone chamber is. So I was always fascinated, well, how did they do it? So I hope to go to that lecture. If I can't, well, I'll let you know when I find it. I know I put it in my calendar, but I'll check. Because
It should be on their website too, shouldn't it, David?
Yeah, it should be.
Oh.
They've been using these lectures as fundraisers. They charge everybody $5 a head. So it will be on their website. And I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was the end of January. I think it was the end of February, but check their website. Okay, let's see, what else? Oh, I apologize for me being here and you're out there. The last minute, I had tried to get a hold of Jeff a couple times, Jed a couple times last week, and I just kept missing him because I had talked to him about a month ago, And he said, oh yeah, we'll find a place in the library for you to have a meeting. If the historical room isn't available, we'll get you in there. Well, I finally got a hold of him this morning and he says, sure, come on down. So I'm down in the basement in the Jarvis conference room.
Dropped it.
But I did bring those maps and I'll show you one of them. May have seen these.
Mhm.
Well, so, but you have one on my computer. And I will, that I colored, and I put something on the Bridgewater, I think it was a Bridgewater residence homepage to see if there was any interest, see if people had interest in picking them up, and I spent many hours coloring one about 25 years ago. I mounted it on a piece of foam board and I just sat there in front of the TV at night, just, taking my time. And let's see if I can find it. And I've always been fascinated by this map. Because fascinated in how did he draw it? Because it looks like an aerial photograph. And I've talked to a lot of people. He did a lot of them for a lot of towns, and they were done in other parts of the country also. And
From what I know about them is that my understanding was a lot of times they would use balloons
yeah,
or go up to a high spot, a mountain or a hill. So that's my understanding. I mean, but yeah, they were very popular in the 1880s or so, 1890s. You see a
Yep.
lot of them. Yeah.
I'm getting there. Okay, map, okay, 1887 is a date on it.
What's up, buddy?
Okay, and now if I can minimize this to get back to Zoom. And where did my Zoom icon go?
Careful on the stairs.
Okay, share screen. All right. Okay, can you see that?
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
So I saw one not too long ago that was done for the town of Foxborough. And my dad and I had these printed up. He's been gone 25 years, so we had them printed up probably 10, 15 years before that. And we were selling them for the Bridgewater Historical Collectors. But I still have quite a few. And I wanted to pass them out to members anyways. If you're interested in them, I'll give you one. And
It would be great framed.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll take
I think
one.
they look so much
I
better
I
colored
have
in.
one hanging up.
And I think it's kind of neat when you do it, just trying to figure out, okay, what are the colors? And the colors I ended up choosing were kind of a reddish brown, because that's the kind of the soil color for the roads. Just the brick buildings, the white churches and so forth, and there were many white houses in town, but and let's see, this is the town jail right there. A little 4-cell cell block behind the hardware store. There's the town hall, fire station. And But anyways, let's see, I can blow it up a little bit. And I spent a lot of time looking at this thing, and the detail is phenomenal. And
It's
as you said,
fabulous.
Matt, now I can see him going up in a balloon, possibly taking a photograph, and then coming back down and going to each of the sites, and and there's a detail on the houses, is all the features and everything. They're right on in many areas. So, anyways, I've got them, and however you want to catch up with me or I catch up with you, I'd be more than happy to give you one.
Sounds
If you
good.
make a mistake coloring, I'll give you another one.
I'd love one. They're fabulous.
If
I'll
the
definitely take one too.
cat drops something on it, or the dog chews a corner off, or whatever. But,
Sounds like my life.
yeah, but it can be a lot of fun. Telling people you're going back to coloring books. It's good therapy, very relaxing.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've got those. Let's see.
David, what are the dimensions on the map?
Okay, the one I have here tonight, I would say it's, let's see, 8,
Stairs, go take that off.
24, probably
Right.
24 by 18.
Okay,
And I may have, we had 2 batches of them printed up. And it's very possible that in my dad's collection, I've got a couple of the bigger ones. So if you like it, and you really want to go wild on it, and around the edge, I didn't see that, but all around the edge of the map, there are close-ups of certain houses and structures in
Oh.
town. Like these little ones right here. These are the
You understand? Where are we
Bedford
going?
Street, across from the funeral home, down the road just a little bit. There's 3 or 4 houses that Prophet, the developer,
Yeah.
put up. So those are all around the edge. There's a normal school. I think that's a house these are houses on Pleasant Street. I believe that's the Baptist, no, the church on Main Street, Episcopal Church.
Yep.
The firehouse. That's a New Jerusalem church. The Eagle Cotton Gin Works. And there's Bailey's name.
David,
Okay.
where was the Cotton Gin Works? Is that where Roach Brothers is and all that?
That was a small one there, but the big one, Eagle Cotton Gin Works, was down where Fairview Lumber is, down on the end of Pearl Street.
Oh, okay.
Their building that's close to the tracks, the older building is all that remains of the original factory. But there was a smaller one, that vacant lot next to the 99, where the shoe factory was, that originally was built as the Southern Cotton Gin Company by Carver's son. He had built the house up on the hill where Roach Brothers is. So there's a hill there, and then I think I might have shown you some pictures one time with the Warnich family was the last family to live there. Eddie Warnich's parents had bought the house. But, okay, well, when you're coming downtown, give me a call. And I can meet you down the library, or you can stop at my house and pick them up.
Awesome.
I'll keep them on top of the pile.
Thank you.
And if it looks good, and you want to do a bigger one, go for it. I'm gonna give one to friend of mine, Bill LaBossia, he lost his wife about a year ago, and he's been doing a lot of coloring lately. Got some really neat drawings. So he hangs around down the senior center a lot now.
Yeah, I can vouch for them. They do look good.
Yeah,
I have one here hanging up.
I do have the letter. Thank you for everybody signing it.
Oh, awesome. That was gonna be my question, actually.
Yeah. I've got to come up with a presentation, a speech on exactly how I'm gonna do this. I know you worked a lot on it, Matt, and probably talked to you about it.
Mhm.
I have to temper my approach because I'm very upset with our town manager and how he handles things, but
It's,
no.
so what's the next steps in terms of that?
Yeah. I'm kind of waiting to see how the new council shapes up.
Mhm.
Got a couple
Yeah.
of members on there.
Good.
Gotta
Yeah,
get
just-
their feet wet and find out what they can and cannot do.
Mhm.
And hopefully they'll stick around after they find out what they can't do. Pretty depressing.
Yeah, well, thank you for picking that up, and yeah, thank you, everybody, for signing it, and
Yeah.
we'll hopefully figure out the next steps and get it on the calendar for them. So,
I know there was something else on the agenda. Nothing new on the bridge. Hopefully that we'll start that when the water is low in the river. They'll get some work done on it this year. I know they had some trouble with boundary lines and so forth. Some technical problems. That was the last I heard on that. Jeff, what's new with any projects with community preservation?
Last meeting was more of like a review of previous meetings. They talked about the Summer Street mobile station. They're referring it to advertising, and no, they're not taking any action yet with the CPC funds. The Central Square Congressional Church is still phase 2 and 3. And that's still on hold. The Methodist Church has no update, but they should be getting the application soon. There was the Jennings Hill Cemetery. They're still trying to get a study done. Whoever owns that cemetery is trying, I guess they're trying to get someone to come in and take a look at it, see how much they need, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But they did talk about making trails near the prison. It's like on the outskirts of the prison property.
Yeah.
And that was just for discussion. There was no vote or anything.
I
Does
attended,
Bridgewater own that land? Or is that
I-
state land?
I think it's state land.
Okay,
I attended a meeting about 3 weeks ago, and it was supposed to be a meet and greet for parks, recreation, open space, and they were supposed to, they brought everybody together, and I was very impressed that there was, there must have been 40 or 50 people there. They went over the whole thing as far as that trail that they're developing down at the prison. And where it's roughly where it's gonna start, if you're heading down Summer Street, when you get to the last houses on the left-hand side, there's gonna be a parking area there. And then it's gonna go in kind of perpendicular to Summer Street. And it's gonna go out behind the big subdivision that's going in off of Curve Street. And it's gonna go, the developer has made it possible for the town to develop trails at the back of his property down along the river. And they're gonna go all the way down the river and connect up with the state, well, I guess it's not state land, but it's in some kind of a private conservation trust. The old Latola's Farm. So it's gonna go, if you've ever been down to Latola's on the end of Auburn Street and walking down there, they've got some great trails to go out to the river down there. So you're gonna be able to go from Summer Street by trail down to the end of Auburn Street and with the other, and meet up with the other parking lot down there. That's gonna be, I'd say you're probably looking at a couple miles. So it's quite an extensive trail network. And then the idea is to continue around and come up to Cherry Street, cross the river and go up behind, I don't remember the name of the subdivision, but which was the Perkins property. There's a lot of open space behind there. If you go down Cherry Street, just before you get to the river, the trail is going to come up there on that side, go over the road and continue up. And that'll probably end up bringing you out to pretty close to Haywood Place off of, I'm trying to remember that, it's not Orange Street. Anyways, so it's going to be quite an extensive trail network.
Hmm.
And although it sounded really neat, I didn't say anything to anybody, but I've been to many of these meetings over the last probably 30 or 40 years on trails in town. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of tremendous amount of open space in town that's been set aside, but the town does nothing to maintain it. They do nothing to maintain the trails, and so they, they get cut in, and Boy Scout troop passes on, and that's it. They get all grown in, and it's only with people using them that they stay open. I think a good example of that is Jenny Lended Park down off of Cherry Street. That was a neighborhood park that was built up, and it's long since gone. Rainbow's End is long since gone.
Mhm.
Mel Shea and his son and a couple of the neighbors down there did a beautiful job down at Carver's Pond. That's all town-owned property down there. It isn't any kind of trust. It's all owned by the water department. And I hope the town's going to maintain it. Stiles and Hart Park is another example. People have worked on that. Again, town property. And until the town hires or picks up a piece of equipment that can run down these trails once or twice a year, that'll cut a 4-foot swath just to make it passable for people, it's going to get grown in. So Stiles and Hart Park there's been talk with some people down off of High Street to develop a corridor that will go all the way down the river, down to Haywood Street, the bridge on Haywood Street in the town river. So it was an exciting meeting for the people who don't know the town's history. They were all pie in the sky. This is great. We're going to do it. But I hope that the enthusiasm continues, and I hope that they're going to be able to do all of this stuff. And I hope, but we'll have to wait and see. So there's one other thing on the agenda that I had. Anybody get the agenda?
I forgot to mention also real quick that there was the McElwain school tour for the new apartments.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go, but I heard they look really nice.
Now, did they have a tour inside the building, the old school?
Yes.
Ah, damn. Wanted to get back in there. I wanted to see that. Well, maybe I can get a hold of the
Sorry.
components. I know, they're not occupying them yet. I know they've gone out to bid and so forth.
Yeah, I think they're
wanted-
doing a lottery for them.
Yeah, I wanted to see the house also, and how that came out. That's next to it. So I lived there for 3 years. I'd like to see what it looked like. My uncle owned it for, she's a good 40 or 50 years. So I missed the open house. And well, I'll have to get a hold of the developer. And if I get a hold of him, we'll see if we can get in there. So. Somebody was gonna take a look at the agenda and see what the other item was.
Let me see if I can pull it up. No. Let's see here. Facebook page, library historical room and display. How's that going?
Well, I'm here in the Jarvis conference room. So we got 1 foot in the door, but we haven't got the foot in the right door. So I'll keep on Jed. I know they had some shelving people in here today. I don't know if they're fully organized up there yet. Well, how do you folks feel about face-to-face meetings again? You know, it's pretty comfortable having them at home, I will admit.
I mean, I'm happy to do them in person. I mean, obviously, if, you know, people aren't comfortable, that's, you know, understandable. So,
Same here.
Well, next month we'll shoot for a hybrid meeting. So
Yeah.
if you want to come down, come on down.
Mhm.
Guys, I'll post it on the internet as
Mhm.
being a hybrid, so that if somebody wants to zoom in, and maybe we'll get a little bit more involvement, who knows?
Yeah.
Mrs.
The only thing that,
Morrison.
just the weather would concern me. I
Yeah.
don't want to cancel a meeting, but if we could do it by Zoom,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
I
make
mean,
sure that it's both,
okay.
that is,
so.
Mm.
And I'll see what they have as far as devices in town, so that we can do a hybrid meeting, so it isn't just, you know, people in front of laptop computers. You know, if they show up here at the library,
Mm.
so I don't know exactly how they do that.
David, I have a question. I'm always at the library, and that house behind the building that's being renovated was sold.
Yeah, it's my understanding. People keep walking by and looking in the room, but they don't ask, they just pass by. Hi, can we help you? Not this one. I don't know where they are. I think, I was told the other day that the house not directly behind the memorial building, but it's the house at the end of the road. Some people call it the Clark House.
Okay,
Judge Clark, Bobby Clark grew up there, but anyways, I think it's tremendous opportunity for the town that they should be buying these 2 properties.
yeah, I know we had talked about that before for parking. That's why
Yeah.
I'm wondering, you know, who was involved in it. But so it's a private sale?
Yeah, it's a private sale, but, you know, the town is absolutely crazy if they're not involved in this thing. I mean, they
know.
just took in $600,000 for the sale of the McElwain School. I mean, that would cover the purchase price probably of both houses. Because the other house, it's a colonial duplex, and it can't be in really good condition. I think only half of it is occupied. But tremendous opportunity for the town. I kind of have to wonder how desirable those places are, but being, you know, next to the library parking lot and everything, but they say that no matter how bad a house is, it's better than where somebody else is living.
Mm.
There's a market for it. The houses across the street from the junkyard down on Water Street are a good example.
Isn't that amazing? Oh,
Yeah. They sold real fast. Yeah, I would say, the more people that contact their counselor, I don't even know who my counselor is right now. I've had some conversations with Eric Moore. He's no relation to me. His district is up on Pleasant, Vernon Street. I believe that's
Oh.
his.
He's probably mine then. So
precinct.
I think he's mine.
See District 1?
I think-
I'm near Vernon too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, mine is Fred Chase. That's who mine is. And I think he's currently the chairman. But what an opportunity. Now,
Mhm.
I'll have to shoot him another email and remind him of it.
What's going on with the display downstairs? They still have the memorial building?
Let me go take a look. I'm right out, I'm 15 feet from that area. I didn't look at it when I came down the stairs. Hold on.
Of course, I'm the one that has to, you know.
I'm always there with my granddaughter for things and I never even noticed it.
Yeah, we were doing, so the one that was up there as of mid-December was the memorial building, the building next to the library,
Mhm.
which was a library, and they had the blueprints and they had the register book. So it was all the books that people took out. It was a listing of, this person took out this book. And
Wow.
it was pretty cool. They had about,
Still there.
it's still there.
You saw it when you were here, man.
Huh?
Nothing's changed. You got, there's probably 4 or 5 empty display cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it says that something that the community preservation is providing some of the material for it. So,
Yeah,
it's
we
a
were-
work in progress.
We were gonna do the Civil War exhibit, which I think is supposed to be the end of the month.
Yeah,
So Allison and I were kind of talking about that. I finally just got all the Corey background check info done, so that took a little bit longer than expected, but we did get in touch. Everything was good. But I think the plan was to have that up for the end of January. So it'd probably be about let's see, that was up for, when did that go up? December? What's there now? Memorial building stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, so about a month and a half. So yeah. I haven't really heard anything from Allison yet, so in terms of where we stand on that, but I told her I'm interested. We did talk about doing little minute-long videos on stories of Bridgewater during the Civil War. So I've been kind of diving into some resources I have to see if I can pull up anything. But if anybody comes across any, please let me know.
Yep.
Um,
See. Yeah, if you haven't been down here to see the area, basically it looks as good as it did when they opened the building. But one of the significant things is there's no more rugs down here because that's what they're having trouble every time the place flooded, mold in the rugs. So they have, they've exposed the original concrete floor and they polished it. So it has a shine to it. A lot of the, where was I in the other day? Walmart over in Rainey,
Mhm.
they've taken up all their tiles. And polished concrete is the way to go, I guess. I guess we don't have a lot more, but what I wanted to mention, I saw a reference to the Torrey House in Bridgewater. I was reading a book Bunker Hill by Nathaniel Philbrick.
Mhm.
He's an awesome author. I just love the way he writes. I mean, he's just, it makes you feel like he was there and he witnessed everything. Really easy reading. But he talks about General Gage, the British general who was the colonial governor at the time of Lexington and Concord and of Bunker Hill. And he mentions that Gage and his entourage are walking down the street of, I don't know what the event was in Boston, and he was approached by I can't remember the name of the Tory. The Bridgewater Tory. When they ran him out of town, he ran into Boston. And he approached Gage on the sidewalk for safety. And I never realized how bad things were in Boston at that time when all the loyalists were there and the British troops were there and everybody else said, see you later. And they left town. So there was a time when there were almost more British troops in Boston than there were call them provincials, the people who opposed to the British. So it was quite an interesting book.
It's, if you've ever looked at the history of Marshfield, Marshfield was a huge loyalist
Yeah.
town. And the British actually sent, I think it was in March of 1775, they sent actually a detachment of men to Marshfield to guard all the loyalists down there to, in case anything arose. So there was a lot down here apparently. So
Yeah, that was mentioned. And
Yeah.
there was an interesting piece in there, how when Washington came and took over for General Ward, Ward turned everything over to him. He was used to military in Virginia. Well, he gets up here in Massachusetts, it's a bunch of farmers. And they weren't professional soldiers, so he didn't have anything good to say about them, but he eventually got him into shape. But it was really interesting. And there was another side of Washington where he was pretty tough, and people were executed for desertion and things like that. And then I think it's the Eye of the Hurricane is the book that takes over after the British left left Boston. And it talks about the next 4 years of the revolution with Washington in charge. And desertion was a big problem. People just get sick of waiting, sick of starving. He had nobody to provide for the army. There's no taxes. They weren't collecting tax. But anyways, so if you're looking for a good book sometime, look up something on Philbrick. He's got a great one on the wreck of the whale ship Essex, the basis of Moby Dick. It's a true story where the whale sunk the whale ship. So, Jeff, we'll wait and hear from you on those pictures. If I get them, I'll let you know. Let me know and I'll pass them around to you folks. Mr.
Sure.
Morrissey, and see what she has. And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, do you want me to preview them with you guys before any
Yeah.
posting, or?
Ship them over to us. I'm sure there's gonna be nothing
email them over.
dangerous
Okay.
in there. But we just want to make sure that they're real factual, because we don't want the town to come out, look like the town's trying to sink the
Yeah.
project.
Let's go see us get washed up.
Express our concerns, no doubt about it, but we just want to make sure that anything that goes up on the website is factual stuff. And
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting. Looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what.
Awesome.
So, anything else? Any other questions? Put together some minutes, send them off to you and get them off.
Okay.
Well, I got one thing here.
What do you got?
Maybe you guys can help me. Let me turn on my video real quick. I have this affidavit. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's like a family tree.
Let's go go play dinosaur.
And it ends at my great grandfather. I'm wondering where I can continue this. I don't know where it came from.
This is your family?
Yeah, it's my dad's side.
Yeah.
And all it says is affidavit at the top. It doesn't say like what, department or government it came, what, city. So I'm wondering where do they do stuff like that?
I don't know. I've done a lot of work. Hi. No. This is Historical Commission. They're upstairs in the trustees room. Yeah. But they're not meeting tonight. I talked to Jed earlier and he said they missed their advertising for the, okay, well, that's where they meet. Oh, well. I've done a lot of genealogical research on my family and I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah,
I've only gone back to probably the early 1800s, but that's an interesting document.
yeah, and I'd like to, continue it before I, don't have the proof to do it.
The only thing that comes to mind when I see that is my daughter at one time got involved with the Mormon Church, and they had to submit a document similar to that, to document their lineage. And I helped to provide one. Not associated with them anymore, but they have a tremendous database.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, my dad had to use it to join some type of club or group. So, but he doesn't remember where he got it.
Well,
Yeah, it may have been something from, what year did you say it goes to?
It looks like it goes to 1899.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's maybe some organization, that familiar genealogical group. That's the only thing that comes to mind in terms of trying to, I know for like Daughters of the American Revolution, you have to submit all the paperwork for proving that you're descended from whoever you say that you're descended from. So it's,
Yep.
I don't think it's something like that. That's the only thing I can think of. So,
Yeah,
no, sorry,
Oh,
we
you
can't
guys
help
might-
you.
no,
Yeah,
it's okay.
I've never seen anything like that with the Masons, but they're really not too concerned with your background. I mean, they have you do a Corey check, but that's it.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
okay. Well, thanks, guys.
So, look forward to hearing from Jeff with those pictures and anything else comes up. So next month will be both in person and Zoom.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Look forward to seeing you then.
all right. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Night, everyone.
Yep.
Night.